Good morning. My name is Dave Baldwin, and this is the second episode of our Entrepreneurs Podcast. For those of you out there who are either starting your own business or potentially trying to grow your business to the next level, brought to you by the Center for Excellence. And today we have with us again, returning Dan Scala, the founder of the Center for Excellence, and Martin Brosman, success coach. And we're going to today focus on sales and marketing, learning about some things for small businesses that are critical to develop those skill sets for those of us who don't necessarily have them automatically, like myself on the introverted side of the fence and anyone else who might identify with that. So we're going to go ahead and dive right into it. First question I have is for Dan today. Dan, suppose if somebody has started a new business and they have no customers and they're saying, I don't have any customers, now what? What are your thoughts? What advice do you have for that person?
Well, the advice I'd have is what my mentor from the Council for Entrepreneur Development told me 21 years ago when I started my first business. He says, you do not have a business until you have 5 customers. In other words, what he was telling me was, if you're a programmer and you subcontract to IBM, you're just a contractor. If your whole business is wrapped around that one customer, when you get 2 or 3, then you're still contracting. When you get up to 5, then that means that if anybody leaves you, you've only lost 20% of your income stream. So you still have a business. So when you start, you need to start with your audience in mind or your target market. So I never start a business unless I know definitively who my target market is, and I've got 100 leads into that market so that I can start day one hitting up 10 of them and talking with them, and hopefully do some pre-sales before I even launch, because that's the way to hedge my bet for success.
Martin, what are your thoughts on that?
And I think just read the question once more. I want to make sure.
So the question is, somebody says, I've started my business and I have no customers.
Yeah.
And they're trying to figure out what next.
Well, our biggest thing is, like you said, we've got to get somebody that's going to trust us in some way to work with them. So, but I'm okay even if you start with some bartering with something. What I want is some exchange of value that occurs. So when I started coaching, I had someone, they said, you got to go out. They said, how many people would you need to have given results to so you felt you were serious, you were succeeding in your business? I said, well, I need at least 10 people that said they got real value from me for me to internally get that I was winning. And in the beginning, I was big on, I started with co-op students that had to listen to me and made it part of their assignment. What I'd recommend is find a friend and say, look, I'll work with you if you buy me coffee. Why? I like some exchange initially going so that you have something at stake and they have something at stake. Even if it's small to get your experience up. Even if I get a recommendation if you're satisfied with my work. So my view is we got to get on the court and we have to have somebody have something at stake. So that's part of it.
Okay. Now, I know that sales and marketing tend to be a common area for a lot of entrepreneurs to get hung up on with starting a business. And I think there's a lot of people out there that maybe have something they're great at. They have an idea for a business, but what they don't have is established background or track record in sales. What advice would you two have? And Martin, we'll start with you on this one. For somebody that does not have a sales background and needs to quickly learn how to sell, what would you recommend?
Well, there's several things. Of course, it's always good to have a plan. Of course, it's always good to get going. And I have to be real clear that I have met hundreds of people who got out of their house and made quite a bit of money without a plan. So I'm not condoning it, but we can't disregard this. Where you left the house and went, I got to feed my family. I have to make it work.
Yeah.
So enough drive and initiative can do things where a lot of the experts say you always have to have a plan. I can't tell you how many countless entrepreneurs I did. Do I recommend it? No, it's pretty good to have a plan because then you'll know if you're off course. So the thing is to start sketching out some type of plan and think of how am I going to earn the right of being in front of the customers so that they can learn about the value I have so that they can decide if they want to buy me or not.
So I want to follow up on that a little bit. The question is, if somebody, in terms of the sales aspect of that, getting in front of the customer, if somebody doesn't know what to say or doesn't know how to engage with the customer in a sales context, the question I have is, where do you get that skill from?
Well, I want to add, there are a lot of good resources, from SCORE to the small business centers to classes available. Bill Davis has some stuff. Look for some stuff at affordable level to get on the court.
So you're recommending taking a formal class?
Take some formal classes, but make sure you have something at stake where you're practicing talking about it, and find out what gets people closest to wanting to get their wallet out and spend money. The founder of the business, no matter how they like or don't like sales, they've got to learn how to get people motivated to want to be involved with their process. That can even be building skills at Toastmasters. And I say, you've got to speak to the level someone's inspired to take an action. And that's a skill that can be done as an extrovert or an introvert. And that's, to me, fundamental. And I don't think any of us are really born with that. A few are, but most aren't born with that. So I think it's a pretty clear skill that needs to be developed, just like developing the skill of dealing with conflict isn't natural.
Dan, you have any thoughts on that question?
Yeah, I like what the points that Martin brought out. The main point to me is when you start a business, and I run into this with people that are starting businesses all the time, the CEO or the guy that founds it, he found it based on his why. He had a reason for founding that business. And without even bringing the word sales or marketing into the equation, he can usually go out there and share his idea of, hey, here's my problem, here's how I'm solving it, and then it goes into the sales scenario. Okay, so like me, when I started my first business, I didn't think about marketing, I didn't think about sales. I thought about, I've got 2 or 3 skill sets. Who would pay me for my skill sets? And like Martin said, I just hit the road and said, okay, I know facilities, I know real estate. So I just went out to those people that had facilities and real estate that they couldn't afford someone full-time. And so I went on, my mentor told me, hey, put yourself out there as a consultant on retainer and just get them to sign you up for 1 day a week.
So it sounds like you're saying you don't need any formal training. You should just get out there and do it. And that's how you learn.
Well, fear and fortitude have a lot to give credit for. You know, if you're motivated enough, it's amazing what human beings will come up with. I want to add one more thing. You good with that? The biggest thing you got to get over is your attitude towards sales. If you believe that sales is only about taking something from someone that they don't want, that doesn't provide value they want, then you've got to grow up and really learn what win-win sales are. And I had that attitude. I was in support in IBM.
Okay.
I was a gifted salesperson who didn't know it.
Right.
And I used to make a joke in support that they always wanted me to go into sales because I saved so many deals. And I'd say, well, I don't play golf and I don't like to lie. And I realized that was a very immature attitude I need to grow up on quickly. So if you don't get the win-win of sales, you need to get that, do whatever soul searching does, because real sales is providing value for the customer enough that they want to continue to work with you, but also protecting the value to yourself enough so that you can be sustainable over time. And the simple concept took me a number of years to learn.
And that goes back to your initial point of you're exchanging value for value.
Yep.
If you got value that you're giving to someone, that person has got to acknowledge that value by returning, either bartering and giving their value or paying you money.
Yeah.
So, and to me, I don't do it as an either or thing. In other words, to me, the most successful entrepreneurs, the folks that I know, they didn't start off necessarily with a plan. They had a goal, they had a mission, they had a drive, a passion. Exactly, that they wanted to carry to the world. And they just did. When their why was big enough, the how showed up for them. And that does not presuppose, like when I first went in business, I had already created businesses earlier on, successful businesses, but not at the stake level that I was at when I left corporate America, because the salary was pretty high and I needed to replace that immediately. And so I signed, that's why I started my business, but I also simultaneously signed up at Council for Entrepreneurial Development and went through their 2 programs. And the combination is what helped, I believe, got me to where I needed to be.
Now, one question that's come up, I've had a number of people ask me over the years, and I have some strong opinions on this myself that I'm going to put aside for the moment because I want to hear you two chime in on this, is somebody will often say, you know, I'd really like to just get somebody else to do the selling because I'm not a salesperson. I want to just do what I do and let somebody else go out and sell it. What advice would you have for somebody who says that?
First of all, that's the signs that you have the wrong understanding of sales.
Mm-hmm.
That's, to me, at a core, the red flag. You got to grow up and learn what real mature sales are. And I know that sounds harsh, but you need to look in the mirror and go, is it really that, or is it, do I really need to get over my issue of sales and really understand the win-win aspects of it? And again, I know it's a bit harsh, but I've heard that so many times. I go, what's your interpretation of sales? And when they describe it, it's like, I don't want you to do that to anyone, especially your worst enemy. You know, where it's something about conning something out of someone of lower value than they perceive. And that's the red flag. You have some that you probably need to get out there and learn how to enroll people and inspire them to take an action, and let the passion come alive in yourself enough. And it doesn't have to be loud. I'm a big advocate that introverts that get access to this and speak often are heard more than an extrovert that's just generally noisy.
Dan, what do you think?
The marketing and sales are tremendously important. And I believe, like Martin believes, I have you have to shift your paradigm about how you think about marketing and sales, because they in their best sense can be very positive expectations. Some people, when they think about sales, think about the used car salesman, the insurance person, so some things that, you know, typically are high driving, closing, pushing sales. That whole equation has pretty much gone out the window in today's modern market. When the customers are better informed and are much smarter, you have to be able to pull them in. So it's the whole sales arena, I think, has changed from a push process to a pull process.
And I like my car salesman and my insurance salesman.
Oh, I love mine too. I couldn't do without them.
Yeah, the one problem I've always found with, and just because the last follow-up question to see what you two think about this, the idea that you can recruit somebody else to do the selling, you know, the irony as I see it is that you still have to sell that person on doing the selling for you. So in which case you still have to learn that skill of sales. Yes. So the way I see it is it's inescapable. If you're going to be in business, you have to learn how to sell.
Yeah.
So
and
you agree, disagree.
Yeah,
if you're the founding member of the company, you have to be able to influence and persuade people, whether you call it sales or not. I have run into several CEOs that are in a technical field, and they recognize that one of their key partners is going to be someone that can concentrate on developing business, marketing, and sales. But that doesn't take away from that CEO or founder being able to stand in front of a group and influence and persuade them that their business, their company, their service is very much needed in whatever market they're serving.
And Dave, I want to tell you, I've coached people in being able to speak powerfully about what they have to offer when they thought they couldn't. After we got to the root of their paradigm of what sales are, and they really got how I don't want them to do that. So sometimes they have to go, whatever you think is sales, you need to put that aside and don't do that. And now let's go care about people. Let's give value to people. Let's really get people so that they are getting enough value and we're protecting our assets enough so we can keep giving value. And I think when you really get to it, a lot of people are open to that, but they have this bad perspective of sales.
This is an interesting topic that sometimes comes up with new entrepreneurs also. What do you think about selling to your friends and family members?
You hit that first.
I think I might be outside the comfort zone for a lot of folks on this. I don't do a separation between business and friends and family. To me, I prefer to do business with people I know, like, and trust, and I know, like, and trust my friends and family. So I'm very open toward selling to them or providing them if they need my product or service. I will sit down and talk with them about it. I may cut them a special deal because they are friends and family, but at the same time, they are folks that I will engage. Now, I've got to have that confidence level inside myself that I'm not in this for 2 weeks, that I'm in this for the long haul. So that comes with personal confidence and credibility that I had to have before I even approach them, because there is a big responsibility, especially with family and friends.
Well, my ad is being an only child. That's a smaller group of actual family, but the piece of it is I also want to add, it's often the hardest group to sell to because they're the most familiar with you, and they may know of you at a time when you weren't as effective as you are now. So my view is it could be the toughest one. And I think based on family dynamics, you need to understand which is the better way to do it. One of the tough things is, what is your track record with them? I mean, if you got in 3 residual income businesses and you've burned them out, you've been unsuccessful with it, you might want to try another group. And it doesn't mean you didn't learn from it, but that's one of the challenges I have is often the residual income businesses, which I'm fond of when they're done well, will have you hit on the friends and family first. You burn that out, you got to take some time to earn that trust back. So my view is, if it doesn't work, you've got to be responsible for earning that trust back with anyone, really.
Yes.
And I made enough mistakes where I go, okay, I got to earn that trust back now.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like ultimately whether somebody's your friend or not doesn't really affect whether they're a prospect or not for what you're selling. So it sounds like I hear two sides of it from what you're saying. There's the need to separate out the personal versus the business, but also realize that you're dealing with people.
Yeah,
and there's a relationship.
And they really
side
are
also.
together.
Yeah. All right. So next topic I want to make sure we cover here is, what do you think? And I think we can start. I mean, I'll just throw this out. Whoever feels most inspired to talk first on this is the most effective and least effective way to sell in general, from what you've found.
Well, I think having a bad attitude about sales, not liking it, and going out to pitch when you, in your gut, you haven't made peace with what sales is the worst way to do it. And I've seen a lot of that, where it's like, wow, you really don't like what you're doing right now. You need to change your attitude towards sales. That's my start.
Yeah, to me, the most effective way is when you believe in something very strongly and you believe you've truly identified your target audience for the people that really need what you have. The sales goes out the window. It becomes a matter of having a conversation, a discussion with them, and influencing them to make a decision to or service.
And I think that's it.
I want to ask one follow-up question about that. You've mentioned a couple of really golden nuggets in here. I thought one about having an immature attitude towards sales, or one having a negative attitude toward whatever you're selling. So if an entrepreneur is having a faltering confidence about their ability to deliver value or get paid well for whatever it is they're doing or selling, what advice might you have on how do you shift that? How do you improve your attitude?
Absolutely. The way you improve your attitude is start operating out of your commitment, not your feelings. Because you know what? There might be a part of you that never, ever is going to feel confident. And there's a part of me with my own learning challenges from youth that never feels confident to stand and speak in front of people, be on a camera, write a paragraph. And, I'm 57 years old. I'm not going to get over it.
You're 57 years young.
I'm 57 years young. I'm not going to get over it. It's going to show up. It's sort of like I might as well embrace it as my nemesis that I'm playing tennis with and appreciate it. Go, oh, I'm listening to you again, and move on. I love the movie The Beautiful Mind. And what I loved about it is it's about a Nobel Peace Prize person with schizophrenia. And what I loved about it is the characters never left. They were always there. His hallucinations were all there. He stopped giving them energy. And to me, what's so valuable is them never going away. Because in the real world, you know, therapies and things say, oh, you can eradicate this. In my real experience, a certain level just never goes away. And you might as well just learn to live with it and move on. Now, that doesn't exclude people with horrible trauma they have to address or anything like that. But that's how do you start? You start going, I'm committed to this product. Let's see how I'd speak if I were committed. How would I feel if I were committed? And then you just, and it's not quite fake it till you make it. It's really honoring that and moving from it. There's a little difference to fake it till you make it.
Well, yeah, you know, I've got my own opinions about fake it till you
Right,
make it. I don't
right.
want to go there.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I'm for, and I'm also for giving yourself time to build competence, but not too much time. So, you know, there's confidence and competence. I don't want a brain surgeon with massive confidence and no competence, you know? So, you know, sometimes we're so obsessed with building confidence that we don't go, maybe we have to do some time. And that's why in the coaching, my coach said, how many people do you need to coach before you're going to declare you're an official coach? And I said, 10. I need to get 10 results. Okay. And then if she thought it was too long, she narrowed it down. So if it was going too long, she probably would have started reeling that in. So that's
Sounds
to
like
me.
Dan would have said 5 from the early.
Yeah, 5. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm okay.
I'll go with 10.
Yeah, no, but you know, that was
Yeah.
it. You know, then I went, yeah, I'm pretty darn good at this. Yeah. Go ahead, Dan.
The commitment, conviction, purpose, and passion are the things that you were drawing out, and I truly believe in that. At the same time, the other side of that is the entrepreneurial road is so slippery, and the path is so high, and the failure rate is so tremendous that, to me, and this is the first thing that hit my mind, is get your mentor. You have to have a mentor set up.
Right.
Someone that's already been there, done that, has been successful, because to me, success breeds success. And I believe we got a future one planned on.
That's actually our next episode of mentorship. So yeah, definitely.
So
I'm big on that.
we can bring more of that into it.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right. Commitment, conviction, the attitude toward purpose and passion, that drive has got to be inside. There's no replacement for that.
And it's okay to develop it too. I mean, some people
absolutely.
are chronically, they're mildly depressed and don't know it, and they need to get that engine going.
Absolutely.
You know, and I have restarted my own engine so many times. I go, I'm stuck, and that's why you need to build that team around you.
Absolutely.
And don't look for your family first to do it. That's too close. I do want to add, like, significant others usually are the worst team to go first to rely on, because they have the most at stake if it doesn't go well. So you're overburdening them. Let them be them in the relationship, and find someone outside to be that team.
Absolutely.
You know, obviously, if you're going to lose the mortgage, we need to make sure the team knows. But that's a key.
All right. The last point I wanted to cover today is paid advertising, and that includes social media, digital platforms, anything. If a new business is thinking about, do I need to spend some money on advertising to get this thing going? What are your thoughts on that subject? Martin, we can start with you.
I'll start. Well, first of all, one mistake I see is people thinking that the paid will just bring it in, where they haven't done enough grassroots of getting people drawn in with their people out front and their value proposition out front and the plan out front enough. And they think, I'll write a big check and it'll solve it. That to me is a disaster. I met someone who's dropping close to 20 grand on a magazine ad that I couldn't help myself. I promised them I would buy them a nice meal in their town if that really yielded value. Why? Because they weren't putting themselves out there enough in building the story. They hadn't gotten enough engagement to amplify it with that. And that's it. You got to get your people out front. You got to engage. In a small business, the idea that a logo and a brand are enough to get going, unless you have $1 million in the bank, is really dangerously naive today. People identify with Homo sapiens before inanimate objects. So I know we went a little bit deeper in that, but that's something I'm real passionate about. I see entrepreneurship really as the best personal development program on the planet. You know why? You got to get yourself out there and feel like, I mean, I remember it feeling like I was almost impaling myself, the risk. And I'm going, face the fear, do it anyway, but calculate the risk. So it's not jumping off the cliff without a parachute, but it is like making sure the parachute's there, testing it fully, and jumping off a smaller one and doing calculated risk. And that's what builds the fortitude in this area.
All right,
Excellent.
great. So
Very
yeah, what
good.
do you think about paid advertising?
I'm a great bootstrapper. When I started every business I started with my own financing and funds. So I made sure my first mission was to get to my target audience and get them to start engaging me and start paying me. And then after I had cash flow rolling, then I would look at the other things that could help supplement my business. Like I started out of my house. Within 3 months, once I had cash flow going, then I considered getting an office. I got an office. I always let sales precede expenses. It really pains me to see some folks going out there spending tens and twenties and $30,000 on a new vehicle or a big office or this and that and the other before they have any sales at all, because they're just digging them. If they can afford it, great. Otherwise, they're digging themselves a hole. So, so to me, it's first things first. Go out and make some sales. You can, especially if you're working in a local market. This pertains mostly to local because that's what I've done. Not every business I've ever started was a local-based business. So I went and got customers first, and then I looked at what I need. Okay, I do need a website. Okay, I do need advertising. Okay, I do need some more. So that came next as the business could afford it.
Now, I know of I've seen some places where they had like a restaurant or something that started up, and they had done all the research that it was an ideal location, but had no money for paid advertising or enough money to get through the first year. So,
that's true.
It's
You gotta
like
have your first year's
you got to
expenses
get your
covered.
first year's expenses covered if you can, or at least 6 months or something.
Yep.
And so I teach social media, and we even teach Facebook as a paid advertising platform. You're going to pay either with your time or your money. But the biggest thing is making sure you've got your gig down to talk about and sell.
Yeah.
That's actually a really interesting point there. I think a lot of people tend to think that their time is free in the beginning, and it's not.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's time is money. All right, just to wrap things up here, any last general thoughts on the subject of sales and marketing?
Well, one is we really didn't do a lot to distinguish sales and marketing. That would be a good show.
Yes.
Sure.
We're really we're blurring the lines here. I want to acknowledge it. There are very distinct things. But in the beginning, when you're doing it yourself, they are going to blur. You are wearing multiple hats. They're going to overload. And
We designed this brilliantly.
Right. Yeah, that's right. My big thing is build a structure around you that supports you. Don't, I'm an advocate of rely on discipline less and rely on setting up structures for you to win more. Because I am more disciplined without eating cookies if the cookies aren't in the house. And I really think we underestimate we should have the discipline. And the real entrepreneurs that I've met go, I don't go there because I can't control myself and I will blah, blah, blah. And there's a PC guy, maybe I'll find his name. I remember him saying, I don't answer the phone anymore because I give away the store. And he's like, I've tried everything. I can sell them, but then I give too much after it occurs. So now once I paid someone up there. And I'm going, instead of going, oh my gosh, I should have the discipline to do that. How about you to wrap up?
To wrap up, to me, when you're starting your business, you've got to have 4 or 5 key ingredients, and that's your purpose, your passion, your conviction, and your commitment to take action to move it forward. You have to have a clearly defined product and service. You have to have a clearly defined target market, and you go after them purpose driven with everything you've got. Then the sales and marketing piece fall in line with that. You also need to surround yourself with people who are going to build you up and help make your business a success. So to me, it's all about your personal conviction, your purpose, and surrounding yourself with a winning team so that you can breed success.
Well, great. Thank you guys for your input today.
Thanks.
A lot of really good points out there for the entrepreneurs who are starting their own business. And if anybody wants to summarize, we've got our bullet points up here on the whiteboard for you.
Yeah.
That's it for this episode. Next episode is going to be about mentorship and finding a mentor to help you get where you want to go in your business. So be sure to stay tuned for that. That will be forthcoming on the YouTube channel. Until then, have a great week and get out there and be successful in your business.